the Security Service of Ukraine. Sluzba Bezpeki Ukrainy, or SBU, is Ukraine's special-purpose law enforcement agency and main government security agency in the areas of counterintelligence activity and of combating terrorism. Duties and responsibilities: the Security Service of Ukraine is vested, within its competence defined by law, with the protection of national sovereignty, constitutional order, territorial integrity, economical, scientific, technical, and defense potential of Ukraine, legal interests of the state, and civil rights, from intelligence and subversion activities of foreign special services and from unlawful interference attempted by certain organizations, groups and individuals, as well with ensuring the protection of state secrets. Other duties include combating crimes that endanger the peace and security of mankind, terrorism, corruption, and organized criminal activities in the sphere of management and economy, as well as other unlawful acts immediately threatening Ukraine's vital interests. The SBU uncovered 7 spies and 16 special service agents in 2009. Structure: Central Apparatus, Main Directorate on Corruption and Organized Crime Counteraction. Regional Departments: Special Department, Anti-Terrorist Center cooperates with numerous ministries and other state agencies such as the Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Emergencies, State Border Guard Service, and others. Educational institutions: National Academy of Security Service of Ukraine, Institute in Preparation of Service Personnel at the National Law Academy of Yaroslav the Wise. Others. State Archives of SBU, Special Group Alpha, Restructuring. The SBU is a successor of the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republics branch of the Soviet KGB, keeping the majority of its 1990s personnel. Since 1992, the agency has been competing in intelligence functions with the intelligence branch of the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. Despite this, a former military intelligence chief and career GRU technological espionage expert, Alois Mishko, served as an SBU chief until 2005. In 2004, the SBU's intelligence department was reorganized into an independent agency called Foreign Intelligence Service of Ukraine. It is responsible for all kinds of intelligence as well as for external security. As of 2004, the exact functions of the new service, and respective responsibilities of the Foreign Intelligence Service of Ukraine were not regulated yet. On November 7, 2005, the President of Ukraine created the Ukraine State Service of Special Communications and Protection of Information, also known as Dyspotsyazok, in place of one of the departments of SBU and making it an autonomous agency. The SBU subsumed the Directorate of State Protection of Ukraine, the personal protection agency for the most senior government officials, which was the former 9th Directorate of the Ukrainian KGB. History of State Security Agency and its directors. The All-Ukrainian Shika was formed on December 3, 1918 in Kursk on the initiative from Yakov Sverdlov and Lenin's orders. The commission was formed on the decree of the Provisional Workers' Peasant Government of the Ukrainian SSR and later adopted on May 30, 1919 by the All-Ukrainian Central Executive Committee. To support the Soviet government in Ukraine and Moscow was formed a Corps of Special Assignment with 24,500 soldiers as part of the All-Ukrainian Shika. In spring 1919 there was created the Council in Fight Against Counter-Revolution and consisted of Adolf Joff, Stanislav Kosyor, and Martin Latzis. In its early years the security agency fought against the Kulak nationalistic banditry. On August 19, 1920 the All-Ukrainian Shika arrested all members of the All-Ukrainian Conference of Mensheviks after accusing them in counter-revolution. On December 10, 1934 the State Political Directorate was liquidated. All-Ukrainian Extraordinary Commission, Department of the People's Commissariat of Internal Affairs, Isaac Schwartz, December 3, 1918 April 2, 1919, Martin Latzis, April 2, 1919 August 16, 1919, Directorate of Extraordinary Commissions and Special Departments, Special Commission of the All-Ukrainian Revolutionary Committee, Vasily Mantsev, August 16, 1919 March 17, 1920, Central Directorate of Extraordinary Commissions, Special Commission of the Council of People's Commissars of Ukraine, Vasily Mantsev, March 17, 1920 April 2, 1921, All-Ukrainian Extraordinary Commission, Special Commission of the Council of People's Commissars of Ukraine, Vasily Mantsev, April 2, 1921 August 2, 1923, Acting, Vsevolod Balitsky, August 2, 1923 September 3, 1923, State Political Directorate, Department of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Vsevolod Balitsky, September 3, 1923 June 31, 1931, Vsevolod Balitsky, February 21, 1933 July 10, 1934, Ministry of State Security, Sergei Savchenko, 1943 1949, Nikolai Kovalchuk, 1949 1952, Pyotr Vashutin. 1952 1953, Committee for State Security. Vitaly Fedotovich Nikitchenko, April 6, 1954 July 16, 1970, Vitaly Vasilyovich Fatorchuk, July 18, 1970 May 26, 1982, Stepan Muka, May 26, 1982 1987, Nikolai Mikhailovich Galushko, 1987 September 20, 1991, Security Service of Ukraine, Nikolai Mikhailovich Galushko, September 20, 1991 November 6, 1991, Yevhen Kyrilovich Markuk, November 6, 1991 July 12, 1994, Valery Vasilyovich Malikov, July 12, 1994 July 3, 1995, Volodymyr Ivanovich Radchenko, July 3, 1995 April 22, 1998, Leonid Vasilyovich Derkach, April 22, 1998 February 10, 2001, Volodymyr Ivanovich Radchenko, February 10, 2001 September 2, 2003, Oleg Petrovich Smishko, September 4, 2003 February 4, 2005, Oleksandr Valentinovich Turkhinov, February 4, 2005 September 8, 2005, Vasilovich Drizhkani, September 8, 2005 December 22, 2006, Valentin Alexandrovich Nalivachenko December 22, 2006 March 6, 2009. Valentin Alexandrovich Nalivachenko, March 6, 2009 March 11, 2010, Valery Ivanovich Koroshkovsky, March 11, 2010 January 18, 2012 Volodymyr Rakitsky, January 19, 2012 February 3, 2012. Oleg Kalinin, February 3, 2012 January 9, 2013, Oleksandr Grigorovich Yakimenko, January 9, 2013 February 24, 2014, Valentin Nalivachenko, February 24, 2014 present, SBU's transgression of the law. SBU State Directorate of Personal Protection is known for its former Major Mykola Melnichenko, the communications protection agent in President Leonid Kuchma's bodyguard team. Melnichenko was the central figure of the cassette scandal, one of the main events in Ukraine's post-independence history. SBU became involved in the case when Melnichenko accused Leonid Derkach, SBU chief at the time, of several crimes, for example, of clandestine relations with Russian mafia leader Semyon Mogilevich. However, the UDO was subsumed into the SBU after the scandal, so Melnichenko himself has never been an SBU agent. Later, SBU played a significant role in the investigation of the Georgy Guangadze murder case, the crime that caused the cassette scandal itself. In 2004, General Valery Kravchenko, SBU's intelligence representative in Germany, publicly accused his agency of political involvement, including overseas spying on Ukrainian opposition politicians and German TV journalists. He was fired without returning home. After a half-year of hiding in Germany, Kravchenko has returned to Ukraine and surrendered in October 2004. Later, the agency commanders became involved in the scandal around the poisoning of Viktor Yushchenko, a main candidate in the 2004 Ukrainian presidential election. Yushchenko felt unwell soon after supper with SBU chief Smishko, at the home of Smishko's first deputy. However, neither the politician himself nor the investigators have ever directly accused these officers. It is also important to note that the Personal Protection Department has been officially responsible for Yushchenko's personal security since he became a candidate. During the Orange Revolution, several SBU veterans and cadets publicly supported him as president-elect, while the agency as a whole remained neutral. In 2005, soon after the elections, sacked SBU chief Smishko and other intelligence agents raised their own version of the revolution events. According to that version, they have prevented militia from violent oppression of the protests, contradicting the orders of President Kuchma and threatening militia with armed involvement of SBU's Special Forces units. This story was first described by the American journalist K.J. Chivers of New York Times and has never been supported documentally or legally. Analysts agree that SBU is relatively free of political involvement compared to the Ukrainian militia, which is considered to be mainly responsible for persecution of opposition activists and ignoring crimes against them. However, the SBU is widely suspected of illegal surveillance and eavesdropping of offices and phones. An episode of human rights abuse by SBU happened during the case of serial killer Anatoly Onoprenko. Yuri Mozola, an initial suspect in the investigation, died in SBU custody in Lviv as a result of torture. Several agents were convicted in the case. The SBU remains a political controversial subject in Ukrainian politics. Current Security Service of Ukraine head Valery Koroshkovsky is also owner of UA Intermedia Group, which owns mere shares in various Ukrainian TV channels AO. Inter TV. For Koroshkovsky voted 238 members of the Verkhovna Rada. However, the head of the Parliamentary Committee for the National Security and Defense Anatoly Yatsenko stated that the committee accepted the decision to recommend Verkhovna Rada to deny the candidature of Koroshkovsky on the post of the chairman of Security Service of Ukraine. As Koroshkovsky promised, SBU under his leadership does what it's supposed to do. To protect the president rather than the interests of Ukraine. On July 26, 2010, SBU arrested an internet blogger. However, a silly warrant for his arrest brought only the next day. SBU accused the blogger and threatening the president of Ukraine and after a short discussion let him go. The threat was perceived in blogger's statement "Curse let the thunder strike Yanukovych." However, SBU showed a rather passive reaction on the statements of the Russian state official who continues to claim that Crimea and Sevastopol belongs to the Russian Federation. Protest group FEMEN has claimed that after the early 2010 election of President Viktor Yanukovych, the SBU has attempted to intimidate the FEMEN activists. On May 22, 2012, Volodymyr Rakytskil, deputy head of the SBU, was photographed in public wearing a $32,000 luxury wristwatch despite the fact that its price amounts to his yearly official income. The instance happened at a joint Ukrainian-American event dedicated to fighting drug trade. SBU and Koroshkovsky, article of Konrad Schaller on July 19, 2010. Recently Koroshkovsky made a few misses as some of the operations of the spec service has failed. For example, the rector of the Ukrainian Catholic University in Lviv Boris Gutsiak, after the unwelcome visit, not only did not break, but was so loud in his complaints that he forced Koroshkovsky to apologize. Later the head of the Kiev bureau of the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, Nico Lang, was detained for a short while and released only after several high-ranking officials from the German Chancellery vouched for him. The security service asked to formulate that incident as a simple misunderstanding. Koroshkovsky, being the chairman of SBU, got rid of the main competition of Ukrainian TV giant Inter, the owner of which officially is his wife Elena Koroshkovsky, in the face of TVI and Channel 5. Konrad Schaller from Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung believes that the most important source of Koroshkovsky's comes from the group Rosyukar Energo. The president's spokesperson, Hannah Herman, in an interview with this newspaper, did not dispute that Dmytro Firtash was one of the sponsors of the Presidential Party of Regions, with the help of which Koroshkovsky was appointed to the position of the state security chairman. Koroshkovsky in his turn denied any connections to Rosyukar Energo. However, it is a fact that Firtash possesses certain privileges in Inter. Herr Schuller also stated that the SBU acts in direct association with Rusukrenergo, arresting their main opponents in order to recover their invested money in the recent presidential campaign. Koroshkovsky did not wish to give an interview to Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, however Mr. Schuller at the end of his article posted an interesting quote from one of his other interviews. When Minister of Finance Vitya Yaroshchenko resigned on January 18, 2012, Koroshkovsky replaced him as the new Minister of Finance the same day. See also, All Ukrainian Extraordinary Commission on the Ukrainian Wikipedia, references. External links, SBU's official website, Guinard's case investigation, Igor Drazhkani's complex inheritance, the top 5 arrests and mask shows in 2011, from the history of genocide, Extraordinary Commissions in Podylia, Balitsky's profile, Kisnikov, v. Directors of Organs of State Security of the Soviet Ukraine. People's Committee of State Security.